Hi, my name's Trudy MacDonald. I'm the Managing Director of TalentCode. In today's video, I'm going to share with you some really practical tips to help overcome one of the biggest challenges I hear from business owners, which is I just don't have enough time in my day. Now, as a business owner, we all know that it's critical that we're taking a leadership role and driving our business forward. And when we simply don't have enough hours in the day to do what we know we need to do, it can start to become really problematic. So with that, here's tip number one around how to get time back in your day. The first activity I'd like you to think about doing is to ask yourself a really important strategic question in terms of what you're doing with your time every day. And the question I'd like you to ask yourself specifically is, am I adding unique value? Now, the way to get your head around this is to simply use the model that I've got up here behind me, which is to draw 3 columns on a bit of paper and simply sit it next to your computer or your desk or wherever it is that you're going. For at least a week, and if not 2 weeks, make a list of every single thing that you're doing, where you're spending your time during your working hours. Now, at the completion of that, what's really important is to then ask yourself the second question, which is, am I adding unique value across each of these tasks that I'm doing? Now, when I talk about unique value, what I'm referring to is this something that only you can uniquely do within the current business? Or are there others in the business that could actually be doing that particular task if you taught them or if you invested the time in developing them to do that? It's a fascinating exercise to do because what I often find with business leaders is there's a good percentage of their time that is spent doing administrative tasks, routine tasks. So anything that you're doing that's repetitive, it calls out that you should be able to develop a system around that. Now, the third column here is the most important. So once you've identified areas where you're not adding unique value, make sure you document an action item for yourself and hold yourself accountable to take action. That action may be outsourcing to a virtual EA or assistant. It may be handpicking people within the business that you can start to delegate responsibilities to, or it may be taking a more long-term approach and looking at how you can start to develop leadership capabilities within your business. And the first step in doing that may be starting to offload some of those tasks. The next thing I'd like you to think about is how you can use a really simple matrix to start to look at where you're spending your time. So ideally, you've got yourself to a point where you're adding unique value, but another tool that you can use to help you really identify this is to look at the importance of what you're doing versus the urgency around what you're doing. Now, this is a very simple matrix, but if you can start to take some of those tasks that you've recorded and plot them on this matrix, it's quite revealing. So what you'll find is where you're working on things in the business that are both urgent and important, this is really good. Ultimately, this should be your focus area and where you are spending your time. However, what we tend to find is we're often spending our time in some of these other categories, and particularly it's the urgent tasks that aren't always important. This is often called fighting fires, or it's reacting to customer demands, or sometimes internal issues. Here, you have a great opportunity to actually be delegating, because often with these things, you'll find that you're not adding unique value. So you've got your focus area up here, you've got the area down the space here where you should be looking to try to delegate, because ultimately, if you're spending too much time down here on the urgent and non-important tasks, what you'll find is you're not spending your time up here on the things that are less urgent, but absolutely critical to taking your business forward. So when we look at this category up here, and really this is the second priority in terms of where you should be spending your time, what I recommend is you need to get a really great system in place to make sure that you continue to work on the important things that will take your business forward. Simply having a strategic plan, having an annual business plan that outlines the goals and objectives for the year, and then having a really regimented system of having 90-day plans and reviews to keep you on track is something that's really important for this quadrant here. Down here, the not so urgent and not so important tasks, well, these are the things that often we just like doing. unfortunately, they're not going to start taking your business forward. So if you are going to do them in your free time, do them consciously, knowing that you're not spending time on things that are going to take your business forward, but be aware of it. So that's the second model that can really help drive business performance. The final tip that I'd like to share with you is around the importance of giving everybody in the business role clarity. And this actually starts with you as the business leader. What's really important is that everybody in the business knows exactly what it means to be great in their role. And simply this can be put together through a job description. Now, the content of the job description becomes really important. What we don't want to be doing is listing all the tasks that people need to do. And the other thing we don't want to be doing is having a very long list of tasks, because that goes back to the first issue where you're doing so much and you don't know what to focus on. So a clearly defined job description that gives people absolute focus around what they need to be doing is critical. And this is where you can really start to leverage the power of the people within your business. However, the job description needs to start with yourself, and this should be the first one that you're doing. So what do these look like? Very simply, there's two key components to the job description. The first is, what are your key responsibilities? And the former two exercises should really help you get some clarity around what it is that you should be focusing on. And you should be able to very simply now articulate, these are the key responsibilities that I have as a leader for the business. Now, next to each of those responsibilities, ideally you would list the high-level activities to put some more context around it. But finally, and most importantly, what are the outcomes? So what is it that you actually need to deliver? As a leader, it may be things such as improved customer satisfaction, it may be shareholder value, it may be improved profitability, it may be brand awareness. So it's thinking about what those tangible outcomes are. Now, what you do in your role and what your team does in their roles is just half of the picture. The other half is how you actually go about it. And this is where we refer to the second half of the job description, which is all about behaviours. Behaviours are simply what it is that defines the culture of your business. It's how you do things within your business. And there's two parts to behaviours. First are, what are your company values? So what are the common sets of behaviours that you would like everybody to be living and breathing? And the second is, what are the specific behaviours that are related to different roles that should be clearly identified? And the best example I can give you is, as a leader, one of the most important behaviours that you need to be able to demonstrate is holding other people accountable for their performance. Whereas as a customer service representative, for example, one of the most important behaviours would be customer service skills or initiative or empathy with customers. So as you can see, there's very different behaviours required at different levels. So in summary, with those three very simple tools, you will be able to get some time back in your day and ultimately start to drive the business forward with a lot more confidence and a lot more balance in your life. So in summary, number one, list what you do and make sure you're asking yourself, am I adding unique value? Tip number two, go ahead and do the performance matrix that looks at urgency versus importance, and make sure you can make some decisions around spending your time in the right places where you're going to be adding unique value and taking action where you're not. And finally, make sure both yourself and everybody in your business has a really clear job description that outlines for them what it means to be great in their roles. Hopefully that helps. Don't hesitate to contact me at any time if there's anything we can do to help you. Thank you.